Hello. Just let me know pag hindi absent. Okay, Ken,
Oh,
magdasal tayo.
ah,
Okay. Masyadong mahina. If you can speak loudly.
okay po.
Okay. Thank you, Ken.
Okay po. Uh, in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather and learn today. We ask for your guidance as we review and deepen our understanding. Grant us focus, clarity, and wisdom, and help us to retain and apply what we study. May this session be productive, and may we use the knowledge gained to honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ken.
Yes po.
So, thank you. Jen, please share your screen so that we can do the lecture. RA 7279, if you can proceed to RA. So, let's do some definition of terms muna, no? Um, and we selected some provisions that have been, have been asked in previous board exams. So for section 3, sige nga, para it's more interactive. What do you call? Okay, siguro si Cheryl, do you mind reading all ito, three words?
Sige po, ma'am.
Okay.
For Republic Act 7279, Urban Development and Housing Act of 1992, definition of terms. First is blighted lands, areas where the structures are dilapidated, obsolete, and unsanitary, tending to depreciate the value of the land and prevent normal development and use of the area. Second is idle lands, non-agricultural lands in urban and urbanizable areas on which no improvements have been made by the owner. Third is land assembly or consolidation, the acquisition of lots of varying ownership through purchase or expropriation for the purpose of planned and rational development and socialized housing programs without individual property boundary restrictions.
Okay, there are easy terms. So for blighted lands, I think it's easy to answer when you come across them. This term in your board exam. So they're urban areas with buildings or structures that are deteriorating. Uh, Also, when you see the word outdated or unclean or any synonyms that you could relate to section 3 on this particular terminology. So if in the board exam they would provide an example and you need to identify the correct term. Yeah, for example, a neighborhood with abandoned houses, poorly maintained buildings, and unsanitary surroundings. So you select A, blighted lands, 2, idle lands, and you can easily select blighted, okay? Because you already know those terminologies there, those characteristics of a blighted lands or blighted lands. Then Cheryl also read idle lands. So this referred to urban or urbanizable lands that haven't been developed or improved upon despite their potential for productive or residential use. So probably in the board exam and they would characterize again like vacant lands in cities that remain unused or undeveloped for several years without any construction or infrastructure. A A blighted land, B idle land. So could very easy for you to identify that you have to answer idle land. So, um, then the third term there is land assembly or consolidation. So this involves combining multiple parcels of land owned by different individuals into a single unified area for planned development. This is done through buying properties voluntarily, so that we call it purchase, right? Or compulsorily through expropriation. And so, an example that would characterize this is that the government acquires adjacent small lots from several owners to build a social housing community or a public infrastructure project. So, A, ganun, land banking, B, land assembly, consolidation. So, you can already um, you can already provide a correct answer, right? So it's land assembly or consolidation. So we can go to the next. So we are okay. Mape-perfect na natin yung three items, ano, if this will be given, or this will be asked. So a continuation of section 3, Jen. Okay. So I would like to call um, Monica. Can you read?
Yes po, ma'am. Land banking, the acquisition of land at values based on existing use in advance of actual need to promote planned development and socialized housing programs. Land swapping, the process of land acquisition by exchanging land for another piece of land of equal value or for shares of stock in a government or quasi government corporations whose book value is of equal value to the land being exchanged for the purpose of planned and rational development and provision for socialized housing where land values are determined based on land classification, market value, and assessed value taken from existing tax declarations.
Sorry, I was muted pala. So, what's the purpose of land banking? The concept involves the proactive acquisition of land by government even before an immediate need arises. So the government acquires these properties at prices based on their current use rather than potential future development value, keeping costs lower. So that's the concept. Um, and then another one is that this, so what's the intended use, Monica?
Ma'am, for socialized housing programs po.
Okay, and other planned urban development. Okay, so it's not just land banking is actually a practice, that ensures availability and affordability of land for future socialized housing projects in this particular in this context and planned urban development. So for example, a city government purchases a large agricultural area on the outskirts of town at agricultural market prices. Later, when the city expands, this land can be developed affordably for residential or socialized housing purposes. So how about what's the purpose of land swapping, Monica?
It is for planned and rational development and also for the provision of for socialized housing po, ma'am.
Okay. So that's the intended use. Okay. So land swapping, it involves exchanging parcels, so swap from the word swap. So exchanging parcels of land between, for example, the government and private landowners, or exchanging land for shares in government-owned or controlled corporations, or what we call the GOCC, provided they have equal values. Okay? So that's the keyword there. Baka kasi A equal values, B unequal values or something. But you need to really know the concept. So how value is determined, so the value of land in swapping transactions is based on clear, objective criteria. So, for example, in land classification, so we have the type of land: residential, commercial, agricultural. So these are land classifications, okay, that they should be clear. And the market value, the value determined by current market rates, and then the assessed value is the value as recorded in official government tax declarations. So the intended use is that this mechanism enables governments to strategically position land assets for planned urban development and socialized housing without requiring extensive monetary transactions. For example, a private developer exchanges an urban property with the local government for an equivalently valued piece of land in another area, helping the city implement its urban development plans effectively. So, okay, to wrap it up, land banking ensures future land availability at reasonable cost, and while land swapping is a strategic exchange method promoting planned urban development efficiently. So both mechanisms help to manage and utilize urban land resources strategically and sustainably. We can go to the next slide. Still, on under section 3, there are again three definition of terms. Let me check. Sageford.
Yes po, ma'am. Good evening.
Okay.
So, Section 3 definition of terms, on-site development, the process of upgrading and rehabilitation of blighted slum urban areas with a view of minimizing displacement of dwellers in said areas. Professional squatters, individuals or groups who occupy lands without the express consent of the landowner and who have sufficient income for legitimate housing. Resettlement areas, areas identified by the appropriate national agency or by the LGU with respect to areas within its jurisdiction, which shall be used for the relocation of the underprivileged and homeless citizens.
Thank you, Sigford. So this strategy on site development, okay, focuses on upgrading and rehabilitating existing urban slum areas without relocating residents unnecessarily. So those are the keywords: without relocating. That's why it's called on-site. And the aim is to improve living conditions while minimizing disruptions to existing communities. For example, instead of moving residents, the local government improves roads, provides clean water, sanitation, and proper housing within the existing informal settlements. So that's on-site development. And then, sorry for the term, but we need to read as it is, the way it was written on section 3 of RA 7279, professional squatters. So who are they? And these are people or groups illegally occupying land despite having enough income. That's the difference, okay? Having enough income to afford legitimate housing. So their occupation is deliberate and without the landowner's consent. This category excludes genuinely poor informal settlers who lack alternatives. For example, individuals who repeatedly occupy government or privately owned lands and rent them out to others. So they exploit the housing situation for financial gain. So they're called professional squatters. How about resettlement areas? These areas are specifically identified by national agencies for or LGUs to relocate displaced or homeless individuals, and these areas are established to provide decent and secure housing solutions. So example, an LGU develops a relocation site on the outskirts of a city to accommodate residents affected by flood control projects or infrastructure developments. So I hope you can identify which one is on site. So we have keywords there. On site means that they're without relocating residents unnecessarily, while resettlement areas is they are established. These are areas are identified specifically identified by either the national government or the LGUs to relocate. So there's deliberate um, effort to relocate them. So relocate homeless individuals. Okay. And then resettlements 1, 2, 3. So we are okay now. Then we can move to the next slide. Still continuation because we need to really remember this definition of terms. So let me check that. Mechiel, do you mind reading? Hi, Mechiel.
Good
Okay.
evening po, ma'am.
Good evening, Mechiel.
Small property owners, those whose real property consists of residential lands not exceeding 300 square meter in highly urbanized cities and 800 square meter in other urban areas. Socialized housing, housing programs and projects covering houses and lots or home lots only undertaken by the government or the private sector for the unprivileged and homeless citizens. Improvements, all types of buildings and residential units, walls, fences, structures of all kinds of a fixed character or which are adhered to the soil.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. We have three terms here, small property owners. So, as read by Michelle, these are owners of residential land that do not exceed 300 square meters. So please memorize that. In highly urbanized cities, okay? HUCs. Or 800 square meters in other urban areas. So there are two values or there are two numbers that you need to remember, 300 and 800. Okay, so such owners receive certain protections or considerations under housing laws. Example, a homeowner, of course, homeowner with a modest residential lot in QC, for example, because it is a highly urbanized city or HUC. So and then this homeowner has a lot, 250 square meters. How about Mitchell, if it's 301 square meters in QC, is he or she a small property owner?
Not ma'am, because it states there that not exceeding 300 square meter.
Okay. How about if an urban area in uh For example, in other urban areas, yung mga non-HUC, ano, like for example, saan kaya? Uh, Imus City in Cavite. And then, so 810 square meters. Small property owner pa din ba siya?
Yes, ma'am. At least it is not exceeding 800 square meter.
I said 810.
Yes.
Nag-exceed ba?
Hindi po.
Nag-exceed ba? 800, sadali. Pati ako na.
800.
Or 800 square meters in other urban areas. So, HUC ba si Kwan? Si Imus? Imus City? Can you check? So, you need also to identify sino yung mga highly urbanized cities. 'Di ba kapag highly urbanized city, what does the Sigford, what does the law says on local government code?
Ma'am,
What does the law says about highly urbanized city?
nakabasa
Local
ko.
government code. Ano yung characteristic niya?
Ano po, ma'am? Kakabasa ko nung last time, ah. Ah, parang yung population po, ma'am, is I think 100,000 po ata yun. Tapos, ah, yun lang po yung naalala ko. Mag-check po ako ulit.
Are you sure? Can you check again? For the population?
Sige, ma'am.
Who disagrees with Sigford? Ano
200
Hello,
yan?
ma'am.
ata yun.
Okay, sino
Hello,
tong
ma'am.
nagsasalita?
Diba?
Si Jerome po.
Jerome.
Minimum of population of 200,000 po.
Okay, and
Eh,
then, correct?
Annual income of at least 50 million, ma'am.
Okay. And then, meron pa ba?
Wala, separate po ata sila
Yun
sa
na yung ano.
Autonomous.
not under
Autonomous.
provincial government po. Not
Mm,
under
uh,
provincial government.
So how
autonomous po
about,
sila.
so ano yung ano niya? So what, what's the exact provision under local government code? Can you cite it? Ano yung qualification for conversion to highly urbanized city? So you're saying exactly uh the correct correct answer. So 200,000 and then an annual income of 50 million. So in 1991 prices parang ganun ano? And then so in 1991. So if you convert that, ang layo na ano? So what is the exact provision? Sigford, you tell me later, okay?
Yung 452 po ata yun, ma'am. Section
452.
452.
Oh, please don't forget, okay? Wag natin kalimutan lahat yung mga who disagrees. Mm. So, is it still enforceable? I mean, yung 50 million, yun pa rin ba? Who can say? Okay, later na lang, okay? We will check on that. So wala pa rin nagbabago in the 300 and 800 square meters. Okay, so if it's HUC, kasi baka mamaya yung yung example na ibibigay sa inyo, hindi pala siya HUC. So you need to know also not just the not just the criteria of small property owners 300 and 800, but you also need to know if it's highly urbanized. Okay? Pag hindi highly urbanized, it means this particular urban area or residential lot, for example, should be classified in other urban areas and not HUC. Okay. Now we go to socialized housing. Okay, this refers to affordable housing initiatives specifically created for underprivileged and homeless citizens. So that's the definition of socialized housing. And these projects can be implemented by government agencies or in collaboration with private developers. For example, housing subdivisions with basic amenities and affordable payment terms, targeting low-income families who cannot afford commercial housing options. So this is a scenario or a description of socialized housing. Okay. Then improvements, what does it mean improvements? Are permanent additions or structures built on a property attached to the soil and enhancing its usefulness and value. So buildings, houses, fences, baka kasi which among the following, which does not belong to uh to the improvement, I mean, as to the criteria of RA 7279, diba? So A, building, houses, B, houses, C, fences, D, concrete roads, and then E, for example, lagyan natin ng E, drainage systems, D, E, o kung may F pa, sige, all of the above. For example, they are constructed permanently on a piece of land. So which among those structures just mentioned are part of the improvements under RA 7279? I will call Rhea. I will repeat. A, buildings. B, houses. C, fences. Dagdagan ko pa. D, concrete roads and drainage systems. E, all of the above. Are they all considered improvements when they are constructed permanently on a piece of land? Those structures that I just mentioned, are they considered improvements under RA 7279?
Yes po, ma'am. Answer ko, ma'am.
Anong answer?
Improvements, ma'am.
Oo, A, B, C, D, E?
C, ma'am. Yung C, improvements, all of the above.
Hindi,
ba
wala
yan, ma'am?
akong minention na improvement.
Eh,
Among the
A,
structures, don't be confused, okay? May
A, ma'am.
na-mention akong E, all of the above.
Yes, ma'am. A, all of the above.
Okay, correct. So don't forget about that. Ng improvements, okay? Definition of improvements. So let's go to section 10. Sige nga, Rhea, if you can read.
Section 10, modes of land acquisition. The modes of acquiring land for purposes of this act shall include, among others, community mortgage, land swapping, land assembly or consolidation, land banking, donation to the government, joint venture agreement, negotiated purchase and expropriation. Expropriation shall be resorted to when other modes of acquisition have been exhausted. there where appropriation is resorted to parcels of land owned by small property owners shall be exempted for purposes of this act.
Okay. Blank is a financing scheme that allows a community or group of informal settlers to collectively purchase the land they occupy. So, which among the modes should you answer? A, okay. A, community mortgage. B, land swapping. C, land assembly. D, land banking. And E, donation. Blank is a financing scheme that allows a community group or group of informal settlers to collectively purchase the land they occupy. So which among the modes of land acquisition under Section 10 of RA 7279, Rhea?
Letter A, ma'am.
Correct. So that's community mortgage. For example, informal settlers form an association and secure funding from the government or a financial institution to buy the land they occupy. So that's a financing scheme. Isa lang naman yung financing scheme doon because donation is another thing. So correct, Rhea, very good. So land swapping, okay. Of course, I mentioned already that's an exchange of parcels, and then land assembly. I also uh, describe combining small parcels of land into larger, more manageable units for efficient development. It's previously defined. Land banking also, the process by which the government proactively acquires land in advance. Okay, these are the keywords. It's easy. In advance for future development purposes. So donation, okay. What's donation? We know what's donation when you give something that's voluntary. So when you see the words voluntary transfer, then it could be easy to distinguish, right? Voluntary transfer of land ownership from a private individual or entity to the government for public purposes, usually without cost. So I think that land on or land where the provincial government of what's this? Um Surigao. No. Agusan del Sur or Agusan del Norte owned by yung Governor Plaza del Norte del Sur.
Del Sol po, ma'am.
Del Sur, okay. So I think that's owned by the Plaza family and they donated it to the provincial government. Is that correct? So um so it's easy for 'di ba, wealthy individuals, politicians, to donate. And so, we know already an example on this that, for example, a developer also donating land to the government as part of socialized housing compliance requirements or something. Then the joint venture agreement, it is a cooperative arrangement, okay, between the government and private sector where both parties contribute resources to develop land for housing because we're talking about RA 7279 here. For example, a private or real estate developer partners with an LGU to build socialized housing with land provided by the government and construction funded by the private company. Then negotiated purchase is a direct negotiation. Okay. Direct negotiation between the government and landowners to acquire property based on agreed terms and fair market value. For example, government officials approach landowners to purchase their lands voluntarily at an agreed price without involving courts or legal compulsion. So negotiated purchase. So it's something that should be there's um there are terms that should be agreed upon. Then expropriation, this one's controversial of all. This is the most controversial mode. It's the compulsory acquisition of private property, okay, by the government for public use with just compensation. But there are important areas to talk about in regard of appropriation. Uh, because for one thing, expropriation is considered a last resort and can only be used if other methods fail. Also, lands owned by small property owners, we have defined this earlier as those not exceeding 300 square meters in HUCs and 800 square meters elsewhere are exempted from expropriation under this act. Okay? Uh, so, um, what are the... Sige, tawag nga ako. Si, si Mark. Mark, do you have idea of the different steps to undertake in expropriation?
Um, uh, ang idea ko po sa expropriation is parang pupunta na sa court na siguro ito, ma'am.
So,
Pero
uh,
merong babayaran pa rin ang yung mawawala ng yung ma-expropriate na lupa from the government out
mhm.
sa ano.
So for example, it was an expropriation being held by DPWH, okay, or
Yes
sige,
po.
NIA. So NIA Road, for example, and it involves an agricultural land. And then who determines, and then they went to court, okay? Who
Yes po.
determines the price for the for the just compensation?
I think the assessed value, ma'am, from the assessor's office or the court.
Oh, you're not sure.
I'm not sure if it's the
Okay, it's
assessed
the court.
value
Okay,
or
kapag ka
it's the court.
nasa court siya. So,
Mm-mm.
what I was asking earlier, what are the steps involved in undertaking expropriation under RA 7279? First is the identification of property. Of course, we need to identify, di ba? Determine
Mm-mm.
and identify the property needed for public purposes. So, for public use ngayon, di ba? Ano sinasabi sa Constitution? It should be for public use. So, and then you need to exhaust because how did we describe expropriation? Is it the first resort or is it the
It's
last?
the last. It's the last resort po.
Correct. So, before resorting to expropriation, other land acquisition methods must first be tried and exhausted, such as negotiated purchase, donation, land swapping, etc. So, after you have exhausted all alternative modes, the government agency or LGU formally issues a written notice informing the landowner of the intent to acquire the property for public use. And then after the notification, there is, if the land, for example, if the land is classified as idle, so how much time should the owner is given to introduce improvements sa idle land, Mark?
I think I think 1 year po, ma'am.
1 year.
Uh,
Okay, he is given 1 year from receipt of notice, right? To introduce improvements.
Mm-mm.
If no improvement is introduced after 1 year, so what should
I think
happen?
meron silang yung parang babayaran, ah, sa iba din po pala yan, ma'am.
So if
Meron
no
silang
improvement,
babayaran na month.
yeah, that's given. But if
Yes, po.
improvement is introduced, if no improvement is introduced after 1 year, should expropriation proceed?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Now, if negotiations fail or improvements are not introduced within the prescribed period, the government formally files an expropriation case before the appropriate RTC. So, yun na yung sinasabi mo, upon filing the case, the government must deposit an amount. Di ba yun
Mm.
yung sinasabi mo?
Yes po, ma'am.
Oo, must deposit an amount equivalent to the assessed value of the
Mm.
property with the court. Then the court will then determine the final amount of just compensation based on current market value and other factors. And then once the deposit is made, the court may issue a writ of possession allowing the government to take immediate possession of the property. Then the court should decide. After hearing and valuation procedures, the court issues a final decision specifying the just compensation payable to the property owner. Then, what what's the next one, Mark?
The last po, yung ma-expropriate na po ata ang lot po, ma'am.
Yeah, already
Mababayaran na din po ang,
mabayaran.
yes po.
Okay. So the government pays the landowner the final compensation as determined by the court, completing the transfer of ownership. And then after payment, so what happened? What should happen, Mark?
Yun na po siguro yung makukuha na ng government ang lot, ma'am.
Of course naman. Ano yung gagawin para makuha na ni what's the criteria or what's the mechanics? Pag
Deed of sale siguro,
nagkabayaran.
maggagawa siguro ng deed of sale, ma'am. I'm not that
Oh,
sure.
and then
And then,
pag may deed of
ipa-title,
sale, ano 'yun?
wait, ma'am, nag-iisip pa po ako. So, gagawa siguro ng deed of sale, and then
Kapag may deed of sale na ano yung susunod?
magpa-title na po siguro, ma'am.
Title. Okay. So,
Mm-mm.
the ownership title is then formally transferred to the government through appropriate registration procedures. Okay?
Yes po.
So,
Yes
that's
po.
that's due process, isn't it? Is it?
Yes po. Ang haba po pala, ma'am.
Okay. So, ano lang yon, malay mo, itanong din yan sa inyo.
Hindi
Now,
ko na po
can
yun
we go?
malilimutan.
O, wag mong kalimutan na natanong ko sa'yo yan, ha? So, dapat
Yes po,
ma-perfect
ma'am.
mo yan. Okay. We can go to section
Thank you.
11, Jen. Nako, I need to... sige, sige. Section 11, Jen. Nasa section 11 na ba tayo? Si Jumel, kayang-kaya niya yan kasi di ba? Yan yung expertise ni Jumel. Right, Jumel?
Sorry, ma'am.
Can you read?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Nag-drive kasi, nag-drive.
Okay lang yan. Baka mabangga ka.
But I'm listening po. I'm listening.
Sige, sige. I'll call someone else. Si Gio. Hi, Gio.
Hello
Can,
po, ma'am.
can you
Hello po.
read section 11 and 16?
Okay po. Section 11,
Bakit kaya
expropriation of
hindi ko marinig
land.
si Gio? Gio, pwedeng lakas mo?
Okay po, ma'am. Di pa rin po ba marinig mo?
Oo eh.
Teka na po,
Do you have mic?
Magpapalit po ako, ma'am. Magpapalit po ako ng, ma'am,
Sige.
ng set. Kaya po.
Sige, habang si Christine na lang. Later I'll call you after Christine. Okay.
Okay po, ma'am.
Hi, Christine.
Good evening po.
Evening.
Section 11, Appropriation of Idle Lands. All idle lands in urban and urbanized areas shall be expropriated and shall form part of the public domain. Expropriation proceedings shall be instituted if, after the lapse of 1 year following receipt of notice of acquisition, the owner fails to introduce improvements. Section 16. Eligibility criteria for socialized housing program beneficiaries must be a Filipino citizen, must be an underprivileged and homeless citizen, must not own any property, whether in urban or rural areas, must not be professional squatter or a member of squatting syndicates.
Thank you, Christine. All right. So we've done expropriation earlier, but in this, so I'll reiterate that this provision mandates the compulsory acquisition or expropriation by the government of idle lands within urban and urbanizable areas. Okay, please remember that within urban and urbanizable areas, transforming them into part of the public domain. So the objective is to ensure that idle properties are utilized productively, especially for socialized housing or other development purposes. So I also mentioned about the process. So just the highlight of expropriation is that the government must first notify the landowner about its intent to acquire the land. After the notification, the owner is given 1 year. So that's the one that Mark mentioned earlier. Yun yung nirecite niya. 1 year to improve or develop the property. If the owner does not introduce improvements within this 1 year period, expropriation proceedings may be initiated. So in section 16, it listed eligibility criteria for socialized housing program beneficiaries. And so to qualify as beneficiary under socialized housing programs, the applicant must meet these conditions. Filipino citizen, uh, underprivileged, and homeless. So how do we describe, Christine? What do you think? How do we characterize underprivileged and homeless?
Underprivileged, ma'am, yung mga yung income ng family income nila is beyond the normal po. Tapos yung homeless, yung wala talagang matirhan.
Okay. So beneficiaries should belong to economically disadvantaged sectors. So you're correct, Christine, that who lack sufficient income to secure adequate housing, and then uh their houses, they don't have stable permanent housing arrangements. So okay, and then no real property on ownership. So it's literal that beneficiaries should not own any real property, whether located in urban or rural areas. Ensuring assistance targets those genuinely in need, or those who are in, who really are properly defined as having no real property um ownership. Not a professional squatter or member of a squatting syndicate. How did we, Christine, how did we define professional squatter earlier in earlier discussion?
Professional squatter, ma'am, means they can afford to buy a property yet they choose not to.
Okay. And then, so how do you describe those member of a squatting syndicate? How do they operate?
I'm not so sure about it, ma'am. Maybe, yung may tinitirhan naman sila, but
Mm-mm. Oo. Like, meron naman, but they can afford everything, right? So,
yes,
so and they rent it out, 'di ba? I mentioned earlier. about
Yes.
professional squatter. So they operate like that and maybe worse. So this provision excludes individuals who unlawfully occupy lands despite having adequate resources or those associated with organized groups that facilitate and profit from illegal settlements. Okay, so an example, okay. I think we are good. We can go to section 18 and 21. Let's go back to, sino na yung kanina? Is just Gio ba?
Yes po, ma'am. Okay na po ba, ma'am? Yung audio ko po.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Section 18, Balanced Housing Development. Developers of proposed subdivision projects shall be required to develop an area for socialized housing equivalent to at least 20% of the total subdivision area or total subdivision project cost at the option of the developer within the same city or municipality whenever feasible. Section 21, Basic Services. Potable water, power and electricity, and adequate power distribution system, sewerage facilities, and an efficient and adequate solid waste disposal system, and access to primary roads and transportation facilities.
So, this is RA 7279. There is an important amendment, which is RA 10884. But when you're asked under 7279, or yeah, subdivision developers were required to allocate at least 20% of their total project area or cost for socialized housing within the same city or municipality whenever feasible. But there was an important amendment here under RA 10884 enacted in 2016. That's balanced housing development. So the percentage requirement has been revised under RA 10884. It now requires developers to allocate, number one, at least 15% of the total subdivision project area or cost or project cost. And then for at least 5% for condominium development. So I will provide uh on Google Classroom regarding this amendment. So like copy of the law itself. Then, of course, developers have several compliance options, including still under R8 and 884, development within the same city or municipality. Then joint ventures with LGUs or housing agencies, or these are the compliance options. Then investments in socialized housing projects in other areas subject to approval. So an example is when a subdivision developer with a project covering 10 hectares, for example, must now allocate at least 1.5 hectares. Okay? So, what if it's 20 hectares, Geo? So how much should the subdivision developer should allocate? Can you use your calculator?
Okay, alam po. Kung 15% po siya, out of um, 3 hectares po.
3 hectares. Very good.
Okay.
So, but if it's a condominium development, so how much percent under our A 10884?
5% po, ma'am.
Okay, great. Now, for section 21, the law mandates, still I'm back in RA 7279. The law mandates essential services that must be provided in socialized housing areas. So potable water, so it means clean, safe, and accessible water suitable for drinking and domestic use. We know what's power and electricity, so it has to have reliable electrical structure or infrastructure and distribution systems to ensure households have adequate power supply, and then under sewerage and solid waste disposal, yeah, facilities for safe. There should be facilities for safe and sanitary waste management, preventing health hazards and environmental contamination. Then access to primary roads and transportation. There should be properly constructed roads connecting housing projects to major transportation networks, ensuring mobility and accessibility for residents. So, okay, we can go to so Gio, what's the title of RA 10884?
Teka lang po, ma'am.
Sige. And when was this enacted?
Republic Act number 10884, an act strengthening the balanced housing, uh, balanced housing development program, amending for the purpose of Republic Act number 7279
Mm-hmm.
as amended, otherwise known as the Urban Development and Housing Act of 1992.
Okay. So when was this enacted?
Enacted July 17, 2016.
Okay. So and you already recited on the amendments, right? To the
Yes,
section.
ma'am.
Which section? Which provision did
Uh,
it amend in RA 7279?
um,
Nakalagay dyan,
the
no?
Urban Development and Housing Act of 1992, ma'am.
Which section in RA 7279 that was amended? Which specific
Section
section you
3,
are? Hmm?
Section 3, ma'am, of RA 7279.
Are you sure? You are seeing on your screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Ano nakalagay?
Section 18 mo.
Okay. Ano ba yung section 3 na yan?
Di ano, ma'am, the socialized housing. Kasi binabasa ko
Ah,
po siya. Yes po. Sabi po dito, Section 3 of RA number 7279 is hereby amended by redefining paragraphs to read as follows. Kaya po na sabi ko po
okay.
na ano, yes po,
Yeah, there were some but we were talking just
amendments.
earlier yung nirecite mo, no?
Balanced housing. Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, including that
Thank you.
anyway, thank you, Gio. So we
Thank you,
can
ma'am.
go to 18, 21. I think this is konti na lang, 31. 2 slides na lang, okay? Section 22, Jessie Marie. Hi, Jessie. Do you mind? Hello, Jessie. Yeah. Anyway, Alexis King.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, pakilakas ha.
Hello, hello. Marinig po.
Sige, lakas pa.
Hello.
Ayan.
Section 22, livelihood component. To the extent feasible, socialized housing and resettlement projects shall be located near areas where employment opportunities are accessible. Section 28, eviction and demolition. Eviction of demolition as a practice shall be discouraged except when persons or entities occupy danger areas such as esteros, railroad, trucks, garbage dumps, riverbanks, shorelines, waterways, and other public places such as sidewalks, roads, parks, and playgrounds. when government infrastructure projects with available funding are about to be implemented, when there is a court order for eviction and demolition.
Okay. So what's the purpose of this livelihood component, Pinkoy? So why do they need uh not only the housing but also livelihood component? Mabubuhay ka ba kung walang livelihood component yung area? Hi, Pinkoy. Practical sense. Hello? Nawala ba ako?
Ma'am, mahina daw po yung net niya.
Okay. So, socialized housing projects should not merely provide shelter, but must also consider livelihood and economic needs of residents. So that's what Section 22 says. And thus, the law emphasizes locating these projects in areas near employment opportunities whenever feasible. So, I was asking earlier, what's the purpose? Is to ensure there's sustainability and there's economic, empowerment for beneficiaries. So, when planning socialized housing or relocation sites, planners, also policymakers, they must assess proximity to workplaces, markets, schools, and commercial hubs to prevent economic dislocation of residents. So you can just imagine a socialized housing project that's not proximate or very far from those locations or those areas that I mentioned. And so instead of relocating informal settlers to distant provinces, so LGUs aim to establish resettlement projects within or near the city to maintain residents' employment and income sources. So that's the strategic way to do it. Otherwise, if um it's not possible, and so there should be livelihood component within the area, and also it's like building a new town for them. So okay, section 28 is on eviction and demolition, and this one is um really a painful process for people, uh eviction, and as a general rule, okay, as a general rule, eviction and demolition are discouraged because they disrupt communities, cause displacement and can create socioeconomic problems. But there are exceptions, because when you mention general rule, there should be exception that eviction and demolition may be conducted under specific conditions. Number one, if settlements are located in high-risk zones, such as waterways, railroad tracks, garbage dumps, sidewalks, roads, and parks, or, uh, so eviction and demolition is necessary, because you cannot uh it would be painful to see that they live in high risk zones, right? So for example, residents illegally living on riverbanks vulnerable to flooding may be relocated. Okay. And then another exception is that eviction is allowed when there are upcoming infrastructure projects, for example, road widening, railway construction that have secured funding and are ready for implementation. So, um, yeah, eviction and demolition are inevitable. So families, for example, residing along areas scheduled for the construction of new rail transit projects. So that's an example whereby eviction and demolition should be, uh, can be maybe conducted under this condition. Another one, if eviction can proceed if ordered by a court, usually after proper proceedings, ensuring due process for affected individuals. For example, a private landowner secures a judicial order for eviction after establishing rightful ownership and illegal occupancy by others. So that's where you're ordered by the court. So and then you need to be evicted. Okay. So what did I so as a general rule, it's discouraged. With three exceptions, people living or settlements are located in high risk zones. Second, if there are upcoming infrastructure projects, and then third, uh, if ordered by the court, okay, or by virtue of a court order. So we can go to apps 31. Nag-close yung aking iPad, so I think that's this one. Si Katie. Katie, hello. Can you read?
Yes po.
Thank you.
RA 7279, Section 31, Definition of CMP. The Community Mortgage Program CMP is a mortgage financing program of the National Home Mortgage Finance Corporation, which assists legally organized association of underprivileged and homeless citizens to purchase and develop a tract of land under the concept of community ownership. The primary objective of the program is to assist residents of blighted or depressed areas to own the lots they occupy or where they choose to relocate to and eventually improve their neighborhood and homes to the extent of their affordability.
Affordability.
Yes.
Okay. So let me see. So that's CMP. It's a housing initiative. I think we defined that earlier. So it's a housing initiative managed by NHMFC, designed specifically to help informal settler communities. So, who are the target beneficiaries, Katie?
Those underprivileged and homeless citizens.
Okay, economically underprivileged.
Yes.
And then those who lack permanent homes. Okay. Secure land tenure. So, are they, because it is a housing initiative and so they are supposed to be organized, right? So it is an association. And these associations typically occupy lands without legal ownership or clear tenure arrangements. So can you tell me now the concept itself? So what's the concept of community ownership?
Based from what I read, ma'am, because it's the first time that I'm hearing CMP2.
Okay.
Based from what I read, ma'am, community mortgage program helps the underprivileged to have a chance to own a land which they occupy. So they basically help them to have their own home or something like that.
So are they doing that collectively
for free
or individual? The concept of community ownership, di ba?
community.
So the community mortgage program, under the CMP, communities collectively acquire ownership. They will not do it individually.
Individual.
Okay?
I see.
They acquire ownership of the land collectively.
Mm.
So and then they negotiate collectively. So there will be because it's like a corporation, because it's an association. So in purchasing, they move as one only, and um their main objective is to empower residents of blighted or economic. So start using terminologies like what we learned earlier, right? Blighted. So to empower residents of blighted or economically depressed areas by granting them the chance to formally own the lands they occupy. And it is a community initiative, okay, promoting incremental improvement of their neighborhoods and housing based on their financial capacity. So what's the association? Who's helping?
The National Home Mortgage Finance Corp. No.
Yes. Okay. So please remember the agency. Okay. So so how it works indeed, for CMP is that informal settlers occupying privately owned land form an organized association. So that's the first thing. And then the association applies for Community Mortgage Program or CMP funding through an HMFC. Then once approved, an HMFC provides financing to purchase the land, which the community then gradually repays at an affordable rate. So it means that mortgage, so it's a installment. So over time, residents formally gain individual or communal property titles, significantly improving their security and stability. Do you think this is a good arrangement, or this is a good program, Katie?
Uh, their goal is, yes, it is good, their goal, ma'am. But I'm quite unsure of how
Mm-hmm.
uh they can get their finance back from the people.
Okay. Uh, so they have a mechanics to follow. I think they're quite strict, and so their capacity, financial capacity also is being, being arranged. They need to the NHM before approvals. So there are qualifications. So, hindi basta-basta din. If you don't have source of income, I've heard, I've heard someone who's also working hand in hand with NHMFC. It's a foundation. They work like they provide first livelihood for these people, and then once livelihood is established and then they can see that it's sustainable, then that's the time they apply for CMP. They organize uh an association after they have established and may providing them sustainable livelihoods. So parang baliktad. So for some government initiatives, it start with relocating them, and bahala na si Batman for, for the livelihood component. But for the CMP, there are some strategies already laid down for, especially some foundations are helping marginalized sectors, and they do this. So I hope you can all look for best practices in CMP. Okay. So thank you, Katie. We can go to, I think that's the last one, Jen. Tingnan ko nga. sige nga, what's after that? Okay. So we will continue with PD 1216 tomorrow. And thanks everyone for a very interactive style again tonight. And so because when you read, you will remember, right? So I'm not just the one talking here. I hope you appreciate. And so Jen, do you mind opening video? Please open your video and let's have photo documentation. And thank you all. I know this group will be very strong. Nandiyan na si James. So, James, you've been absent for a long time.
Busy.
Siya po, sobrang busy, ma'am.
Busy. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So,
Pero
Okay, ready.
may recording po.
all right. Okay.
Okay, ready po. In 3,
Mm.
2, 1. Okay, thank you everyone. Good night po.
Bye. Bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.